Everyone feels safe. Yeah, whatever. I don't need no damn moderation. I do what I know. What up, y'all? Just trying to get this together. This is the first episode of Before the Mic. And I apologize for not looking on the news, but I just had to get on here and do this because, hey, what's up, Miss Rogers? I just had to do this today because I'm starting this new story thing. I've been trying to get the correct title for these stories. So if you popping up on here, make sure y'all share them because this first one is going to be the only live one. And trust me, it's about to get cracking. So everybody that knows me know that at one point in time in my life, I had lived a criminal life. And it wasn't because I didn't have good parents or good people in my life. Some things seemed fun to me, and so I particularly wanted to do the fun stuff. So, as it goes, this is the early stages of my criminal background, I guess you would say. This is one thing I never got caught for and one thing that I could talk about. So, dig this here. All of these stories that I'm about to embark on, when you see the before the microphone draft that I got, understand these are things that I could talk about. These are things that are protected by law. And I never really did no stuff to harm anybody or nothing like that, so I can talk about my life. I'm not putting nobody's name in nothing because I had partners that did stuff with, but I'm not finna talk about them. I'm not finna put them in it, so don't trip. Some people gonna hear these stories and they're gonna be like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. But don't give it away. That's all I'm asking y'all, is to not give it away. Because a lot of people don't like to be talked about. But I'm telling my stories for y'all to understand my growth. And also some of the things I did, I want somebody to know they wasn't the only one that did it. The only one that did it, that means you could change yourself just as well as I did. Anyway, the first story is because y'all know I ain't been on here in a while. The first story is called When I Stole Bikes. Now, I stole a lot of bikes when I was a kid. First, and the main reason that I stole a bike was somebody stole my bike. And when I tell y'all my bike was hot, my bike was popping. Most people went out for Schwinn's. I had a Huffy. And Huffy bikes were probably the next. I don't know if they was under Schwinn's or over Schwinn's because Schwinn's used to be the shiznit in the hood. Now in the hood, if you had a Schwinn, it was like a style. It was like a Cadillac. But to me, I think Huffy's was right there at the same time because people would have Schwinn's with a Huffy seat. Huffy seats was comfortable. They had the padding in it and all of that. And they just looked nice. So I had a Huffy bike. It was all chrome. Chrome, baby. All chrome. My grandfather had got me the bike. And he had got me some all-white mags. All-white mags. Huffy bike with the Huffy seat that everybody that had a Schwinn wanted that seat. All chrome with white mags. I was the shit when I pulled up out of the. And what was so crazy, my grandfather put the bike together in the basement, right? I took it through the house to the garage. I mean, I had the big mag tires, the dirt tires. Hey, when I pulled out of the garage, you couldn't tell me I wasn't pulling out in the car. I stayed on 61st and Bishop. So I pulled up out the garage and up through the alley Man, when I came around that corner, they was like, oh, man, ooh. That right there knew. That right there should let me know somebody's going to steal my bike. Everybody was excited. Make sure y'all share this, share these stories, please. Share, comment, all of that. So what happened was, I had my bike for probably like 3 months. Man, I used to show off. So that was probably one of the reasons my bike got stolen. Well, I stayed around a lot of large families. And them kids couldn't get no bikes like I had got bikes. Ryan, my little brother Ryan, I love you too, boy. More than you know. So, when my great-grandfather fixed the bike, told me to come outside, my grandmother, she seen the bike. She didn't want me to ride that bike. She wanted me to go out to my cousin's house in Maywood and ride the bike. Because at that time, Maywood was still good. But I was getting older. My grandfather said, you want to let him go out there and ride his bike. She don't stay on the sidewalk. Don't ride in the street. I'm showing off this bomb bike and couldn't go nowhere. My birthday had came. I had turned 13. And worst day of my life. I rode the bike up to the store. It's a Woolworth on C3rd and Ashland. I see the stuff in the window that I wanted. It was them, and I should have went to the hardware store, but the hardware store was a little bit down at the time. It was across the alley. Ace Hardware was across the alley. So Woolworth was right on 63rd and Ashland. I see the string things. I can't remember what you call them, but they had a hook on them. They was elastic, and you could put them on the back of your bike to carry stuff. But I was putting mine on the back of my bike to do the little zigzag up under my seat because the Huffy seat had some long extended bars. Anyway, make a long story short, I seen them in the window, ran in, slapped the money on the counter because they said it was like $5. Came out, my bike was gone. First time I was able to ride my bike by myself, my bike got took. I see the dude on my bike. I tried to chase him, but he was already too far. I said he must have grabbed the back of a car and got that much distance because I wasn't in the store that long. I didn't even care about no change, wasn't worried about no taxes. I slapped that $5 on and jumped in because I didn't have no, my grandfather had to wait or something to go get my damn bike lock. Bike gone. I had to walk. Let me tell y'all something. My grandmama had told me one time, don't come in the house without this bike. One time, she told me. And then one time, it only took me one time to get stole. That was the longest walk from 63rd and Ashland to 61st and Bishop. And one of my heart broke because my bike is gone. This was my car. I was thinking about riding it up to the park, showing it off. But see, that time in my neighborhood, on my block, it wasn't nobody my age with no bike. So I used to ride my bike by myself, and I used to be riding my bike. And I used to be making niggas mad. They didn't have no bike. But anyway, came back on the porch, sat on the porch. I cried when I was walking home. I ain't gonna lie. I was walking through the alley so wouldn't nobody see me crying. Hey, boy. My grandmama came outside. You know you'll know when your kid crying if they ain't even crying no more. This was my great-grandmama. She knew me. She knew everything. She came outside, stood on the porch for a minute, looked around. Where that bike get stole at? That's what she said. And when she said it, it made me think, you set me up. You know where my bike got stole. And she said, I knew you sitting on this porch looking stupid. And y'all don't see that bike. Because I put my bike in the yard and I would place my bike on a lean to the side. Like I was showing up. You ever see somebody parallel park and they park their car to the side, had their tires altered? That's how I parked my damn bike. Anyway, bike was gone. She said, well, I told you not to get that bike stole. Trust me, you ain't gonna get another one unless you buy it. Walked in the house. I was glad I wasn't finna get no whooping, but I was mad my bike was gone. Then here and there, dudes in the neighborhood to tell me, man, I saw somebody on your bike or bike like yours. And it had to be my bike because wasn't nobody around there. They had no damn money to get no Huffy like that. Salty. So one of my buddies, ain't gonna say his name, came on the block one day. He had a nice bike. Nice, clean bike. Freddie, what up, Freddie? And I'm like, hey, man, that bike is cold. Where you get that bike from? He said, man, I came over here so you could ride your bike with me. We could ride out to Evergreen Plaza. And I said, man, my bike got stole, man. He said, man, I know your bike got stole. Everybody in the neighborhood talking about your bike got stole. He said, boy, these niggas laughing at you because your bike got stole. You was out here stunting on these niggas. So I said, well, how you come over here to ride my bike and me to ride my bike? He said, man, get on the back or get on the handlebars. We finna go get you another bike. That's when I realized my boy was my boy. A bicycle, man, a bike. I'm talking about back in the days. This is my first criminal history story. Freddie Chico, since you came in late, you ain't know. So back then, I wasn't finna ride on the back of nobody's damn bike. But on the back of the bike, my buddy had the bars on the back of his tires so you could put your feet on. And I could stand up. I would be standing up and I would hold his shoulders. So that's what I did. And you talking about somebody tired, hitting them bumps, you had to have good legs back then. Because I didn't feel none of it. I know now I couldn't do no mess like that with these old ass legs. But what happened was, I said, how we gonna go get a bike? What we finna do? He tell me, KJ, what's up? All right. So, yeah, you know that was look, that was a violation back then. There was certain stuff we wasn't gonna do when we was kids and we didn't even know about. Gay, we didn't know about that. We just knew, ain't what? So, what happened was, I'm on the back of the bike, standing up, we rolling. And I'm talking about, man, we riding all the way from Inglewood to Evergreen. Evergreen is a neighborhood, and I would say if you was in Hollywood, it would be Beverly Hills or something of that nature. It was a high-priced neighborhood when the number of white people stayed there. And as we rolling, my man say, dig this here. It's a lot of bikes over here. He said, but when you hop on them, you gotta hop on them fast. I said, what's a bike shop? Because I had never been in the neighborhood of of Evergreen. It was a plaza that we used to go to, a mall called Evergreen Plaza. The more and more black people moved in Inglewood and the surrounding areas, the more and more Evergreen Plaza turned to Ever Black Plaza. That's what they called it. So anyway, he said, no, in the neighborhood over there, them white folks got their bikes. No, I didn't have no mask on. What are you talking about, boy? So we riding the bike, we get over there. He said, man, we're gonna go down a couple of neighborhoods. And he said, if you see a bike that's real tight and somebody riding it, get them up off of it. And I'm like, nah, you finna get me to assault somebody and take their bike. However the case may be, my bike had got stolen. Remember that. My bike got stolen. Then nobody pushed me off my bike, but I was mad enough to push somebody up off their bike. But I didn't have to because in Evergreen, the bikes was everywhere. It was 10-speed bikes, tricycles. It was bikes with anything on them and everything on them, and bikes that you could hook up. It was all type of bikes. Them white kids was crazy. They did not have, they was just get off their bikes and lay them in the front yard and run in the house. Or I don't know, they would be outside of stores. You ride down 95th Street. Imagine that's the number. We had to ride from 60 of and 61st and Bishop all the way to 95th and Western. That's a bike hike. And there's some hills through there. Man, look here, let me tell you something, bro. Or people. I'm acting like I'm talking to one person. When I got there and I seen the bike, it was a Huffy, but it was the opposite of my bike. It was black. Had a Huffy seat on it. It was in a yard standing up. So whoever had that bike had the same feeling about that bike like I did. But they didn't have the knowledge that it was two very new criminals on the loose in their neighborhood. I hopped on that bike. I hopped off my boy bike, standing up, boom, run over there, get that bike, picked it up. In your mind, you got to be quick with it. I ran with both of my hands on the handlebars to the side, jumped on there and scooted one time. I was off. And I realized how that dude had got that linked on me with my bike. Man, I'm riding that bike. We getting it. I hear, "He got my bike, hey." Now, remember I told y'all, Evergreen was more of a predominantly white neighborhood at that time. "Hey, that nigger stole my bike." That made me mad, but made me go faster. Because I said, them people finna come now. Let me tell you something. We hit that corner. We was on 95th. You couldn't tell me I wasn't doing 45 on that bike. Man, that's how we was. So, we shooting. Every light, I'm counting. As we went down Western. But we was on 95th. My man holler, "Make a right up 83rd. We finna shoot through the park." Now, the Dan Ryan Woods is over there, which is a lot of parks that's put together. They got bike trails and everything. I did not know the bike trail, because I never rode my bike over there. Remember, this was my first time having a bike. So I let him get the lead. Once we made the right, he hopped the curb and we went through the parking lot. Going through the parking lot, we hit the bike trail. We shot through that bike trail, came up, went up. Somehow or another, we was over the tracks and the viaduct. Because if you know anything about Inglewood, however you go in Inglewood, you got to cross up under a viaduct. We rode over the viaduct. We was both on dirt bikes. Got up there, shot down, got over. By this time, we on 79th Street. I'm a shorty then. I was real versed in the gang shit, because at that time I was a GD. But at the same time, we was behind enemy lines. We already just come from out the white neighborhood, which that was behind. We was in enemy lines then, and we was coming up out of it, but we still in gang territory. But I had family on Damon, on 64th and Damon. But what we rode through at the time, I think it was called Nation. No, it wasn't Nation. I don't know what they called it, but it was Stones over there. And I forgot to mention, I had finger waves back then, people. Finger waves were known mostly for gangster disciples, or black gangster disciples. I'm still getting it on this bike. We done had a rest time to come from up over the viaduct and ride down through the back of the viaducts. Because on the viaducts was the tracks. And that's where a lot of people went to hitch the freights to ride the freights to go hit the freights in the freight yard. Oh, I got them. I got footage in the finger waves, baby. So when we dipping through these blocks, we own Damon. Now we own 79th and Damon, finna go towards the lower end. Because the whole goal was to get to the 60s. Man, we shoot through there on 79th. I hear somebody say, get that culprit, get that culprit, get them culprits. Culprits was the name that they had, was an insult name to Gangsta Disciples. So we 13 and 14, we by ourselves. And at the time I had realized we was on 2 hot bikes. Because my man had just stole that bike and came pick me up, so we go steal me a bike. That's a friend. And that brother's still my friend to these days. I want y'all to know that. I ain't gonna say his name. Anyway. Yep, he ain't lying. Them stones off Damon. And they was outside. And it was super deep because it was in summertime. So we hit the viaduct on 75th. We damn near home. We damn near in our area. But at the same time, we still kids. And there's other kids in them neighborhoods that don't know us. Every block had their own set of kids and their own set of gangs, their own set of elders. So it truthfully like we was the warriors and we was trying to get back to Coney Island. But we just was on some bikes and it was just 2 of us. We ain't stopping. We in the middle of traffic. You know the line that divides traffic? We was on that line. Only time we slowed down was when we came to a light, but didn't stop. We slowed down. So it was a lot of horns blowing, a lot of shit. I look up, we finna hit the viaduct. I just happen to look behind me. It's 9 dudes on bikes. And on 3 of the bikes, it's somebody standing up, holding them up. Catch him, catch him, catch him, catch him. Man, think about what I'm saying, y'all. Already rolled from 95th. Subtract them numbers. We was on 75th. And we was going down. I knew if we crossed 71st, we was good. But before we got to 71st, what we see? The police. Police was doing something and they stopped. They had like somebody pulled over. It was an incident or something. So it was like 5 police cars out of there. Hey, my man's smart. He hit the brakes by the police and said, they got guns and they chasing us. He take off. I never stopped. So I done caught up with him. And I said, what you tell the police? He said, I told them they got guns. Next thing you know, we look back, police all in the middle of the street, up in their pistols on them kids and everything. I'm like, whoop. They gave us some more leeway. By this time, we done crossed 72nd, 71st. We humping. Listen, my people stay on 64th and Damon. So, and usually all the time, if y'all ever been in Chicago, 64th and Damon, it's a sweet lady. There's the crossing guard, which is my auntie. And her name is Jewel. She's been out there. She's a crossing guard. She's been out there for years. And it's a greenhouse on the corner. That's my family. It's always somebody on the porch. Always somebody on the porch. This time, wasn't no damn body on the porch, but we was kind of safe. So we dip around and we shoot up. Now he said, "Hey, we gonna make it to Ashland, then we gonna make a left. We make it to Ashland, we really back in our land. And when I see McDonald's, that's home, baby. Because McDonald's is like about 3 buildings from the damn Woolworth where my bike actually got stolen. Man, we make it. We make it all the way back. We breathing. Now, man, you wouldn't have never thought I had asthma, but my adrenaline is going. And adrenaline beats asthma all the time until the adrenaline stops. So now I'm tired. He finna go home. He stay on 59th. I stay on 60th. 61st and Bishop. He said, hey, man, you good? I said, man, thank you, man. Man, I owe you. I owe you. He said, man, come on, man. We gonna ride tomorrow. We gonna roll tomorrow. He said, we gonna take 2 more people over there and go get 2 more bikes. I said, you know what? Cool, I'm with it. So mind you, I go put this bike. I take it around back and I go in the side of the crib. I go in the basement. I got to look at this bike, check this bike out, figure out what I'm going to do to the bike, how I'm going to mod the bike up. Yep, Dexter Factory did used to be there. Now it's a lot. So I'm in the basement, right? I hear a whole lot of commotion. Doorbell ringing like crazy. I said, damn. Did somebody follow us? Because, if somebody was coming to my great-grandparents' house at that time, great old people back then, they knew who was coming over their house. Didn't nobody just pop up. I said, maybe it's somebody on the block. But I'm hearing all this other stuff. I hear some noise in the gangway. I'm like, man, let me come up out this basement. It really wasn't nowhere for me to hide. I had put the bike in the basement by where the dogs used to be at. So anybody was seen it, it'd have been my grandfather. And I already had it in my mind. Oh, my friend so-and-so, he sold me the bike. I just got to pay him $15 3 or 4 times. And then I've been paid for the bike. That was the lie I was going to come up with. I come out the basement, and in the basement where I was at is where the dogs used to come in for when it got cold or at night. Right up out of that, when you come up the stairs, I'm in the backyard, but I have to dip down because the way my grandfather had the porch built, you had to dip down a little bit. When I look up, it's 5 or 6 white men in the backyard with shotguns and rifles. I'm stuck. They like, don't move, don't move. Who in that basement? Who in that basement? I say, nobody in this basement. It was me. It's my dogs down there. Dogs start barking. And so he said, shut that door. I shut the door because they didn't want them dogs to come out on their ass. But they posted. I'm like, how the fuck did they get in the backyard? My grandfather had a gate. And I know when I opened the gate, I had to put the chain back on there. Anyway, the man tell me, you go in the house. They was police, though. It was FBI. I said to myself, who motherfucking bike did I steal? I'm baffled. Because I knew he ran. I knew that boy didn't come around that corner from when he stole it up off the front of his house. I didn't even look at the boy. I just heard him say, he got my bike. That nigga got my bike. I even thought in my mind on my way home how I was going to go back and hit that boy in his mouth. I'm going to hit him in his mouth for either him calling me a nigga or him calling me a nigga. Anyway, so I go in the house. My grandmother, she going off. What the hell going on? What's happening? My grandfather didn't say nothing. When I tell y'all, I've never heard, my grandfather also has never really been a loud dude. He's always been quiet and cool and calm. But this time, for the first time in my life, I looked at my great-grandfather. This is my great-grandfather. He looked nervous. I'm looking like, damn, he knew I stole this bike. And he probably mad. I didn't know. I didn't know what the look was. We go in the front. They sit us down. I look out the window. My grandmother had one of them big picture windows. I look out the window. It's police everywhere. Everywhere. They made us step outside the house and stand in the yard in the front. They searched the house. When I tell you they searched my grandma's house, they was all on the roof. They was looking through the attic that I didn't know we even had. Because I was a little kid. I never looked up that damn high. I seen a little window, but I know it was a real attic up there. So my grandfather used to, if you go in the basement, you have to look up. There was a thing you could push. It was a motherfucker that went up there and came out of the window and stood on it. It was like clear. Attic is clear. They started naming off. Clear on the side. Clear. They went in the basement for a little while. My grandfather had to go down there with one or two of them, calm the dogs down, and he searched back there where the dogs was, came back. Now, when my grandfather came up, this is the first thing my grandfather said to me. Where that bike come from? I said, my friend told me that if I gave him $15 for 3 weeks, that I could have the bike. It was his brother's bike, and His brother got older, and he said, "Shut up, you're lying." I said, "Yes, sir, I'm lying." And then they was talking to my grandfather, and they looked at me and looked at my grandmother, and they said, "Well, we searching y'all house because I often say this nigga stole his bike." And do y'all know that wasn't it? They was searching the house because, and this is the first day I found out, I had a cousin that was a notorious serial killer, and he was on the loose. If y'all think I'm joking, look up the name Alton Coleman. Just go to your Google and say, who was Alton Coleman, or what did Alton Coleman do? Him and his lady, was it Nicole Brown or Diane Brown? Him and his girlfriend went on a straight killing spree. They was up in like Milwaukee or Wisconsin. I think Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Either way. And make sure y'all share this. Make sure y'all share this. This is the first episode of Before the Microphone. So, I don't know nothing about this cousin. It was like one of my cousins that my mama had when they was little to come over, and him and the lady, they went and they killed a lot of people. It was some, y'all look the story up. I don't really want to get into the story because I got people in my family that might be mad, but I don't care because I ain't never dealt with them. But when we was outside, and this is when I knew it was serious, they locked up our block. They locked our block up. When I say the FBI was FBIing, they was everywhere. They was asking people questions. You know niggas is nosy anyway. So they all out. People all outside. They looking at the house. My grandmother was pissed because my grandmother she did not play with embarrassment. She did not play with none of that. And they said they had our phones tapped, everything. I didn't even know that the man was on that spree. I didn't know nothing was going on. I really didn't watch too much TV. I watched the programs that I could watch because, you know, back then when you was a kid, we had one TV in the house. And my grandfather used to run that. And I used to watch army movies with him and stuff like that. They would watch the news at night, but I really wouldn't pay attention to no damn news. Wasn't nothing on the news at the time for me. So we standing out there in the yard, whole neighborhood looking for us, looking at us. And then it set into the neighborhood that we was kin to a serial killer. We was kin to a real notorious killer. He's like one of the first or second black serial killers. And he was on the run. And in the course of him being on the run, he was killing people, he was robbing people, rape. It was all type of stuff going on with him. That's my little brother, y'all. He was on Big Mama's side. Big Mama went off. She said, we don't even mess with them peoples. What make y'all come here? So whenever he was on the run, and they got into it with his family, and they said, we can't find him, somebody in the family started mentioning people in Chicago. And actually, he had went to one of my other cousins' house, too, and they did the same thing to them. But they stayed there, man. We was outside for hours, man. And so after that, they let us go. Now, mind you, the story got another part to it was going to trip you out. So my grandfather was real quiet. He didn't say nothing. And we went in the house. Everything was over with. My grandmother, she mad. She done got on the phone. She calling people down south. She going on. My grandfather said, Emma, get off the phone. Didn't they tell you they had the phone tap? What is you on there talking to people for? If you talking to people about him and you don't even mess with them people. So my mama popped up over there, and I told my mama what happened because she was gone. My mama didn't know. She was like, "What?" And I said, "Man, mama, who is Alton?" She was like, "That's my cousin, that's my little cousin." She was like, "But we ain't really mess with them because he came to Chicago before, and when he was younger, then my mama went down there with them when they was. She was like, he used to piss in the bed all the time, he shit on himself. It was all types of stuff, and his mom and them was real mean and evil to him. So, you know, he was ridiculed a lot as a kid. But if you look at a picture of him, it's a nice looking dude. He wasn't a, you know, but looks will fool you. So we chilling, everything done calmed down. Family members coming over by the day, by day, by day. Fast forward. My great grandfather passed when I was in the penitentiary. And it's something I never knew until he passed. I talked to my grandmother on the phone when he passed a couple of times about it, but I ain't really want to talk to my grandmother about it too much. So one time when I came home, me and my grandmother was talking about my grandfather, and I was laughing because, believe it or not, I still had that bike in the basement. I had rode it to, I ain't ride bikes no more. I don't know. It might still be in the basement right now. I doubt it because my sister cleaned out a lot of stuff in the basement. However, I laughed about that bike to my grandma. I was like, "Big mama, you know that bike I had got after my bike got stolen?" She said, I said, "You know I ain't pay for that bike." She said, "Boy, I know you went somewhere and stole that bike." She said, "You always been the type of kid that somebody do something, you gonna do something back to them." I'm like, damn, why she ain't tell me that back then? But she said, "I ain't never tell you nothing about it because that's the day the police came. Remember all the police came?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah," because I was like, Grandpa seemed like that was the only time I ever seen him nervous. My grandmother said, "You don't even know your grandfather did something down south. Somebody disrespected his mama. Two white dudes disrespected his mama. He did something, got on the train, very young, came to Chicago, and started a whole new life. Because the place where he came from, down south, I guess at that time, you know, computers wasn't in and all of that, and they wrote whatever they wrote down. When they didn't find him, they couldn't find him no more. So, my grandfather had got away with some stuff. And he thought the head came for him. So y'all gotta realize the comedy in this. I thought they was coming for me for a bike. My grandfather thought they was coming for him for something way more worse. Hey, that was the first time and the last time I stole a bike. Because I said if it took that much in one day for all of that to happen, it wasn't meant for me to steal no bikes. So I started stealing cars. And that's what's going to be on the next episode of Before the Microphone. I thank y'all for listening to my story, listening to my situation, listening to my truth. If anybody got anything out of this, cool. If you just got a good time, make sure you leave it down in the comments. And make sure you subscribe to Bald Heads Podcast. It's my podcast show where I'm going to be doing everything on here. Comedy, stand-up comedy, stories about before the mic, letting y'all know a little bit about me. Because if y'all are following me comedy-wise, I think y'all should know a little bit more about me. All right? I thank y'all for tuning in. I'll see y'all in the next video. And until then, y'all pray for me. I'll pray for y'all. Peace out. Share, comment, subscribe.